Good evening, and this is the ultimate in the best of brass, the final blow, and I do mean blow, in the knockout contest which started with 8 of the top bands in Britain. The idea originally was to find the best of brass from among the champion bands of Scotland, Wales, and all the regions of England. By now, all but 2 of those musical giants have gone, and we're left tonight with an incredible David and Goliath situation, and with a first prize of £1,000 at stake. On the bandstand, waiting to play first, the might of a works band, Fairey Engineering, representing the Northwest. Against them, Parc and Dare, a village band from the Rhondda who find their own funds, but who found their way to the Welsh Championship. And you'll see just how closely things are balanced when you remember that both bands scored 94 marks out of 100 in earlier rounds. Well, music may be the aim, but marks are the things that count. And they come, as ever, from the men who've made tough decisions these last few weeks and face tougher ones tonight. So let's encourage Bill Relton and Trevor Sharp. Bill Relton, of course, General Manager of the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and Trevor Sharp, until recently Director of Music at the Royal Military School of Music. Enough of these introductions, though. From now on, it's music that matters. And Fairey Engineering get into it at that cracking pace, which is one of their trademarks. It's the Radetsky March. Radetsky March by the left, bringing Fairey Engineering onto the parade ground. And if it was at a measured tread, well, that's not surprising, because they've been drilled by musical director Walter Hargreaves, and he's the man who used to be Professor of Brass at the Royal Marine School of Music. It was in the air, though, that Fairey's built their reputation. They won their 5 national and 12 British Open championships when they were known as Fairey Aviation. Impressive parentage, and it's perhaps as a salute to that Alun Wycherley coaxes some deep feeling out of his soprano cornet with "Oh, My Beloved Father." moving tribute to dear old Dad, and it could win our Soloist prize for Alun. Anyway, Fairey's won their place in the final with victories over the Hanwell Band, representing London and Southern counties, and Great Universal, the Midlands champions. But they go now into an Irish jig, which describes what could happen if a bandsman doesn't practice enough. It's called Green Grow the Brasses O. Well, there's absolutely no mildew at all on Fairey engineering brasses, or if there is, it'll be shaken off now, because the Stockport band quite literally jump up and down in their big finish. The title speaks for itself. Take a deep breath. It's Pel Mel. And we go Pel Mel from our Northwest champions to the champions of Wales. But first, a quick reminder of what all this marvellous music's about here in the Assembly Rooms at Derby. There's a £1,000 prize, of course, but that's not much to look at these days. There's an engraved crystal decanter and glasses for the winning band to take away, and a piece of Crown Derby, what else, for the conductor. Then, of course, there's the Rose Hill Instrument Award for the best soloist, and that could be any one of these. Well, Parc and Dare think there'd be a welcome for all those in the hillside, and they reach out their hands, musically of course, with a majestic opener. It seems back to front, but it's a finale. The finale from Suite for Brass. That was a piece sent over from Belgium specially for the band by its composer Jan Segers. In the past, Parc and Dare have needed all the help they could get from anywhere, especially in the days when all the miners used to chip in a penny a week for them. Things looked blacker still when the Parc and Dare pits closed down, but the band pulled through by developing its youngsters. Ian Morgan, the musical director, did it almost single-handed. He teaches brass in schools, and anyway, the band's full of Morgans. Whatever they did for themselves. The band's absolutely self-supporting, and it was enough to win them the Triple Crown, the Welsh Championships, 3 years running. Anyway, back to some of those Morgans, and 2 of them are leaving the Ronda for the East Coast. Phillip Morgan and Gregory Morgan lead the way on trombones, and in this particular arrangement, it's the first time any band anywhere has visited Scarborough Fair. Well, on the way to that very beautiful Scarborough Fair, the Welsh champions have gone right through the Camborne Town Band, the champions from the west of England, and Eveready from the north. So they stand up, sit down, and clap themselves to finish with a sort of international folk festival for bands called Hootenanny. festival, a real festival, to end our 7-week festival of brass. But now for the crunch, or crunches. 7 programmes, over 20 brilliant soloists, and yet only one can win the individual prize. Well, every week, Peter Skellen, of course, has been entertaining us. But this week, we've asked him to join our adjudicators to let the cat out of the bag. Peter.
Now, in order to be entertaining, a soloist has to transmit supreme confidence to the audience. He has to show that he's master of his instrument and master of the piece he's playing, and that he's enjoying it. Whether he's confident or not, he's got to hide the nerves and do it. And a good technique always helps that. But it's not the most important thing. You can play by playing all the right notes doesn't necessarily mean it's a good performance. There's an old song title called "It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing," and it applies to any kind of music, whether it's a piano concerto or Count Basie or a brass band. The audience have got to feel that enjoyment coming across. It's got to have a lot of fairy dust, a lot of magic about it. As a brief example about confidence, when I was doing my final recital at college, I had to play a piece of Scarlatti, which I can't play, but I had to play it. And I expected a very low mark, and I got a very high one. And I was talking to the professors afterwards, and asked them why. And they said they'd never heard a piece played so badly, but with such confidence before. In other words, it was a performance, and they enjoyed it, and it came across. Now, not many of the soloists that we've seen have done that, have been able to get that across for various reasons, which I think the gentlemen here are going to go into. But my vote, whether they play the right notes or the wrong notes, my vote always goes to the chap who stands up and says, "Listen to this, you'll enjoy it." And I'll hand over to Trevor for the fine details.
Thanks, Peter. If I can mention one of the soloists who gave a very fine performance, that was Kevin Morgan of the Parc band. He played a tuba solo, tuba tapestry. This is a young man who can really play, and in my own humble way, I think here's a young musician that the music profession will hear a lot about in the future. Whether he got the right solo or not, I'm not quite certain. It started off rather slow, rather deep. The pattern of the sounds of the music wasn't always quite clear. And then we got into the solo where there was a lot of notes, and possibly it wasn't projected as positively as you were talking about, Peter, actually, but a very fine young musician who played superbly. What do you say, Bill?
Yes, I agree. I think the tuba is a particularly difficult instrument on which to play solos because all the interesting register of the tuba lies right in the middle or the lower part of the brass band. It's difficult to get through. However, he's a very convincing young artist, I felt. May I talk about Phillip Morgan, who played trombone in Parc as well, who conveyed every bit of musicianship that one could want and made a splendid recovery. One of the hazards of playing the trombone in front of television is that when you push the slide out and the camera comes towards you, something's going to clash. He'll have to pay for the lens afterwards. But however, the recovery he made really was splendid, and he was performed very convincingly, his solo. He's one of the other ones that we have on our very short list.
Yep.
Well, to announce the winner is Phil Morgan from Parc.
Well, there you are, Philip Morgan standing up. Leave that instrument where it is for a moment, Philip Morgan, but as a reminder of the way he did it, let's just look back now at one of the highlights of Best of Brass. after the soloist prize the big one, the real best of brass. Judges, please, your choice between Fairey Engineering and Parc and Dare. Bill Relton.
Thank you, Gerald. Trevor and I have often used the word confidence in this series, and the one thing that struck us about the opening numbers of the Fairey band was the confidence which they showed. This is a band which has style. They shaped the phrasing in this Radetsky March, which is quite a difficult march to do, and it's nicely articulated, the tuning was good, and I felt there was some very fine playing in that, Trevor.
Yes.
You?
I don't agree with your remark about the articulation. It's lovely to disagree with him for once. I think Willie Bofskovsky might have had a few words about that articulation, but it was.
At least the words would be in the Viennese dialect, so we probably wouldn't understand them. I'd like to go on, if I may, to Alun Wycherley's solo, O mio babino caro. Alun Wycherley is a player for whom I have a tremendous admiration, a soprano player of great accomplishment. The one thing I wish that soloists would do when playing a solo of this character is to develop their style so that it doesn't become uniform in the vibrato and in the phrasing. This was one criticism which I must make, that it was in fact completely uniform, whereas Greengrow, the Brassy was really quite stylish in its exposition and in the way that the technical details were played. Trevor?
I love the introduction of that, actually. The lovely contrapuntal setting there came out absolutely super. I thought, in fact, that the ensemble in that was some of the best playing I've heard in the whole series, actually.
In the whole series?
Just that slow passage.
Yes. Pel Mel also was very good ensemble, and what a marvellous technical feat to get through all those notes. The parts look like stewed knitting, there are so many semiquavers. But that's something that the Fairey band managed to get over very well indeed. There was one little hiccup in ensemble, I felt, in the middle part, and it's surprising when a band of this quality cracks notes, however. That's all I want to say about the Fairey band. And now going on to Parc and Dare, they started off the finale from Siegel's Suite for Brass. It started off not too well, I felt. There was a slight discrepancy immediately on the very first beat.
Well, I think they recovered very quickly, actually, Bill. You know, there's a marvellous clear sound about this band.
Yes.
You can hear everything. What you can hear is the space, you know, between the harmonies.
Yes. Yes, there's a very great care of the detail is very obvious here, and perhaps there is so much care that occasionally the band seemed to be, on tonight's performance, which after all is a very important event, it seemed a little restrained.
There again, you sound like the musical Brian Clough tonight. What's wrong with you? But the end of it, I thought was tremendous. It had plenty of atmosphere and very dynamic.
Yes. I seem to be
I get the point,
the devil's advocate tonight and feeding you with marvellous lines. Scarborough Fair, also, I felt that the band could have started it off a little more comfortably and a little more firmly. I felt there were one or two little slight discrepancies in the tuning and intonation there.
Very fine texture there, Bill, which is very, very difficult to capture.
Yes.
It all sounded very nice, but, you know, just dropped away in places.
Yes, and also the soloists, the two trombonists, were not completely without blemish when it came to intonation as well.
But a lovely end to that, actually. The
yes.
two Morgans.
Yes, the two Morgans. Yeah. And in Hootenanny, well, it was a good start, but I felt there were some difficulties in the ensemble and some rhythmical difficulties.
Yeah, I think actually, you know, the outstanding thing for me in these two performances tonight, Bill, has been that, you know, we have heard music produced by two very good band trainers.
Yes.
And there's some pretty good craftsmen.
Yes. Gentlemen, we can't bear the suspense. Your final marks, please.
We have given to the Fairey band, who played first, the 97 points, and we've given to Parc and Dare 96 points.
So, thank you everybody, thank you our judges. Fairey Engineering are now £1,000 better off, and to help them on their way home they can drink a toast in this. But before they go, let's ask them to close Best of Brass with a bit of their Best of Brass. Good night.
Thank you.